Hey, how you doing? Andy Beck here, author of Folk Springs Eternal. Welcome to video 4 of 4 of the introduction module to This Is My Name. I'm happy you've made it this far, and I really hope that the first 3 videos have helped you to gain some serious grounding in your plans to take your passion, or passions, and turn them into tangible success. So in this final video of the intro module, we're going to be looking at how to deal with setbacks. We already looked at myth busting in video 2 so that we can actually get started on our journey. But while you're actually on your journey, moments of doubt and difficulty will come up. They have done for me in the past and they continue to do so today. And the same thing will happen to you. This could be where external events knock you back, or where incidents of a more internal nature, such as a lack of motivation or a lack of confidence, set you back. But don't forget that it's normal to run into problems along the way. It happens to almost everybody, so encountering setbacks is not an uncommon thing. What's important is that we react in the best way possible and find the resolve to continue so we can overcome these setbacks. This could involve things like sharpening your approach in a certain area, upgrading 1 or 2 of your skill sets, and more. So let's look at some common setbacks that you might run into on your journey up the mountain to success. In the last video we plotted your journey up the mountain. Now I'm going to arm you for the journey before you set off so that you have the best possible chance of completing your journey successfully and reaching that peak of yours. Let's give it a go. So, before we get into this, here's a useful overview for you so you can skip to the setbacks that really apply to you right now. The obstacles I'll be discussing in this video are: I'm scared to put my work out there, I'm not getting results, I'm only getting rejections, I'm struggling with vision, I'm starting to doubt myself, I feel depressed or hopeless, I feel alone, I'm always running out of time, I'm running out of money, people are discouraging or ridiculing me, and there'll be a bonus one as well. So beginning with setback number 1, which is I'm scared to put my work out there. Remember that your work doesn't have to be perfect at the first attempt. No one's holding a gun to your head here. Just give it a try. Put your work out there and see what happens. There's certain feedback that you'll get that you can't know without putting your work out there. And maybe there are certain mistakes that you'll notice that you can't notice until you've put your work out into the world and seen what effect it has in the real world. Remember that some people will like what you do. There will be people who give you positive feedback on what you've done. Constructive criticism is also okay. All you have to do is to consider whether to adopt it or not, whether to take the feedback on board that you've got or to think, no, that's not right for my product or for my work. I won't adopt that particular recommendation. If someone's being impolite or obnoxious, I'd recommend that you stay calm, thank them for their input, and then move on. Or if they're trolling you and deliberately trying to put you down, rather than rise to the bait, I would just ignore them because these people aren't worthy of your time or your energy. If you're really struggling with the idea of putting your work out there, then I would seek help if needed. Speak to somebody that you trust, especially if they're knowledgeable when it comes to putting work out into the world. Maybe they've put their own products or work or services out there in the past and received feedback, both positive and negative, for it. Sometimes they've succeeded, sometimes they've failed, but seek the help of these people if you need to. Setback number 2 is also very common. I'm not getting results. Now, almost every entrepreneur has had to struggle with this one, unfortunately. My advice is to be patient. Results won't come immediately in 99.9% of cases, even though it would be great if they did and we became an overnight success. But failure, or not being recognised, doesn't define you. It doesn't mean you're a bad person or that your products are bad and that you should give up. It usually just means that you need to refine and improve your marketing approach so that you get your work in front of the right people who, given enough opportunities, will engage with it and will support you. This is where the marketing part of the course awaits you. This will make you a lot better in terms of this approach. So above all, keep going. Like I said earlier, part and parcel of being an entrepreneur is the learning that you will go through on your journey. Whether it's learning about yourself, learning to make your products better, or learning to improve the marketing. Learning's a part of it and we need to embrace that. So don't give up. Setback number 3 is similar to number 2. I'm only getting rejections. If it's not a lack of results you're getting, it might be rejections that you get from people who you were hoping would take you or your work on. It could just be that you're not right for them. Sometimes that's just how it is. Sometimes these people just don't see you as a fit. Or they might not be right for you. Of course, you want to have your work or yourself taken on as a client, but sometimes it's not such a bad thing if that cooperation doesn't actually come to pass, because those people might not be right for you, and you might realise that further down the line. The good thing about rejection is it means people are starting to take notice. Even if it's negative notice, it is good to receive some feedback that you can then use again to improve what you've done so far. This leads me back to the point that I made earlier when I said that failure doesn't define you. There's a great quote that I like that goes, "There is no failure, only feedback." Please believe in that. And again, I'll repeat this piece of advice. Keep going. It isn't nice to get rejections. They can come as a crushing blow, but take the time to grieve, if you need to, over the rejection that you've received, recover from it, and then go again. Number 4 is a more general problem. I'm struggling with vision. If this is you and you feel you're starting to lose focus or starting to get bogged down, then take time out and reread your mountain plan. Reread the personalised plan that you've come up with for yourself. This is important because it will help you to remember why you got into this in the first place and what you're doing this for. It's not uncommon for us to get bogged down occasionally on our journey, and that's why it's important for us to take some time out and to go back to basics and to take a look at our general journey plan again. Another thing I would recommend is listening to people who've inspired you so far. Listen to people who've been an influence on you in your life. This will help you to refocus, and again, it will help you to remember why you're doing what you're doing. If all else fails, you can tweak or sometimes even completely change your plan. I've done that too in the past. There have been times I've focused on music more than writing, and there have been times I've focused on writing more than music, as I tend to do nowadays. There's a great saying in German, one of the other languages I speak, which is "Der Weg ist das Ziel," and that basically means the journey is the destination. So the learning and the growing that you go through on your journey is part and parcel of what adds up to the result. You'll be a different person when you reach that peak that you've set for yourself, but that's not a bad thing. That's part and parcel of the process. So to struggle with vision, again, is normal. Don't fret. Just go back to basics and remember what you got into this for. This leads us on to number 5. Now we get into some setbacks of a more psychological nature. This one is I'm starting to doubt myself. Here, I'm not talking about doubting the particular journey you've selected for yourself. I'm talking about having a lot of self-doubt in general. Again, this can happen when you're an entrepreneur, especially a creative or an artistic entrepreneur. My first piece of advice would be, don't compare yourself to anyone else. It's often unrealistic to do that because you're comparing yourself with people who've been in the game for a long time, who've achieved a lot of success and probably have got a lot of hard work that they've had to put in and a lot of people that they've had to get on their side in order to get to where they are now. It's not realistic or fair for you to compare yourself to these people to begin with. At this point, I'd like to mention another quote by an author called Sunil Rahija, who wrote a book called Dancing with Wisdom. I've met him a couple of times, and we were on a call where he said, "I'm comparing myself to the best version of me." I think that quote is absolutely genius, and it stayed with me, because it's true. You're not comparing yourself to anybody else. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is the best version of you. Take a look at your own life and think, what would I like it to look like? What would I like my work ethic to look like? And when the day's done, what would I like to have achieved? And try to get as close to that as you possibly can. That's the best way to keep moving forward without getting bogged down. So continue to do that. Continue to put your best foot forward and to worry about the mistakes later. Part and parcel of being an entrepreneur is learning by doing, and we need to keep moving that needle, the needle of progress, even if we're only taking small steps because our motivation is currently down. Also, keep listening to those who praise and encourage you. Like I've said, there will be people out there who like what you do and encourage you to keep going, to keep earning or gaining in impact and in income. So cultivate that positive mentality by listening to these people. In a similar sense, don't listen to negative people like trolls or haters. Whatever their reasons are for trying to put you down, they're not worth your time, they're not worth your energy. Focus on the positive people and don't listen to the negative people who try to wear you down and hold you back. Number 6 is I feel depressed, or hopeless. This is continuing the psychological theme of number 5. Now, some of us suffer from depression. That's just how it is, and it's normal or human. Even if it feels horrible, some people do just go through dark phases. They suffer from depression, they suffer from anxiety, or they suffer from other mental health issues. I would know, I've been there myself in my life. I've suffered from both depression and anxiety, and it wasn't until I found mindfulness meditation that I started to feel better, and I'm going to talk a bit more about that in a minute. My first piece of advice here, though, would be to take a break. If you find that the workload of being an entrepreneur is bogging you down and you think the whole thing is hopeless and you're getting nowhere, then take some time away from it and don't start again until you feel ready. This could be just a day, it could be a couple of days, but take some time to feel good and to work on yourself, and then start again when you feel ready. My main piece of advice, though, and the best advice I can give when it comes to dealing with mental health issues such as depression and anxiety, is never stop searching for answers. I'm not going to recommend any one particular technique to you, even though mindfulness meditation did help in my case, because it might not work for you. For my wife, for example, she doesn't care for meditation, but yoga really helps her. If yoga and meditation don't work for you, maybe antidepressants will. Then there's things like cognitive behavioural therapy. I believe there's an answer out there for everybody. What's important is that different methods work for different people, so keep looking until you find the method or combination of methods that works for you. And then once you feel ready, go again. It's not nice to come off track when you're an entrepreneur, or to come off track in life in general, but it does happen, and as I say, it feels horrible, but it's natural. So take some time for yourself, build your energy again, and then when you feel ready, pick things up where you left off. There are other factors of a psychological nature that go into being an entrepreneur, and I could talk about them at length, but I'm going to give you just one more, which is number 7, I feel alone. This is another very common one when you're an entrepreneur, because it can sometimes feel like you're doing all of the work yourself, having to carry or steer the entire ship by yourself, and that there's no one to help you. It can be a lonely feeling, and it can definitely feel different from working in a workplace, for example, with other people. Remember what I've said, though, about how you don't need to do everything on your own. The book that I've mentioned before, Who Not How, by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy, talks precisely about this. We can ask other people to help us, and a lot of the time we should, especially if they're experts in a field that we don't know much about. It's much better to get these people on side and to ask them for help, rather than to try to do something that we don't know much about and are probably not going to achieve a good result in. Sometimes these people might want to be paid for their time. On other occasions, they might work for free. They might work for free if you promise to give them a testimonial, for example, or they might want you to return the favour at some point in the future. But please don't hesitate to ask other people for help if you think that they can help you, and if there's an area that you're not certain in. Other than that, more broadly, hang out with inspiring people who tell you that you're good at what you do and are trying to get their own thing off the ground. This is a positive environment that will really give you some power or some grist for your mill. If you need to talk to somebody about your feelings of loneliness, then confide in people that you trust. Almost everybody can find somebody that they trust or someone who they can confide in, and let them know how you're feeling. Talking about these things and about your experience often helps you to feel better. And last of all, don't forget the accountability module that we've got coming up in This Is My Name. This will help you to get accountability buddies on side who will celebrate the good times and the wins with you and hold you up when times are tough. I've been there, I've done a number of accountability classes with people, and I've met some good friends who have remained friends and accountability partners of mine to this day. Their support is invaluable, and you'll find that too. And finally, we come to some setbacks that are more practical in nature, so to speak. The first of these is number 8, which is I'm always running out of time. Again, an issue that almost any entrepreneur has had to grapple with at some point. At this point, though, I'd like to replay myth number 2 from the myth-busting video of the introductory module to This Is My Name, which went like this. So do keep that in mind. And generally, make sure you balance perfection with progress. Yes, we want our work to be of a good quality, and we want our offers, when we put them out into the world, to be impressive and of good quality and of interest. But we do need to get them out there in the first place. Do your best to make your work presentable and impressive, but make sure that you make that progress and get it out there, because there's only a certain amount that you can learn before you've received feedback from the real world or seen your product in the real world. I will mention who not how once more as well. Don't forget to delegate and to get out of your own way in terms of giving tasks that you don't have the time or the knowledge to do to other people who are much better placed to help you with them. And finally, be patient. You will find the reliable support that you need, those people who you can depend upon and call upon to help you with your website, with your social media, or whatever it is. Sometimes it can feel like being a musician, trying to find the right people to play with. You're bound to meet some members who are not quite on your wavelength and who you have to stop working with. But keep at it and you will find those people who you can rely on. Number 9 is I'm running out of money. This is another obstacle we all seem to come up against. There never seems to be enough money in our lives, does there? Again though, you don't need to spend lots of money initially. It's better to come up with a budget, like I recommended earlier, and then to use that budget wisely, rather than to pour hundreds and hundreds of pounds or dollars into your business, or to think that you even need to do that. Also, don't forget that crowdfunding will be an important factor that I'll come on to later in the This Is My Name course. This will really help you to get the capital together that you need to put towards your project. Also remember what I've said before about managing your outgoings well. It's one thing to say that you're running out of money or that you don't have enough money, but take a realistic look at how much you're spending every month. What do you need to spend and what can you get rid of? You'll then have a much more realistic overview of any budget that you have left. And finally, don't forget that we've picked goals with good monetization potential as well, so that will automatically help us. You've probably heard of the company Shutterstock, run by a guy called John Oringer. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but anyway, in the early day he relied on his skills rather than money in order to build his business, and the company is currently worth $3.75 billion. And last of all, number 10 brings us back to the psychological again. People are discouraging or ridiculing me. Now, not everyone will get what you do. Not everybody gets what it is to be an entrepreneur, and not everybody will be interested in what you're interested in and what you've decided to build this side income doing. Equally, some people will be jealous of you. Some people get jealous of those who dream for better and who dare to step outside of social convention, as it were, and to try their hand at something. They don't like it when they see other people going after their dreams, because it reminds them that they're maybe not going after their own. If these people are being seriously negative, I would cut them out. They're not worth the energy sap. Remember what I've said about focusing on the positive people, those who tell you that you're good at what you do and encourage you to go after what you love. Another important thing to do is to keep your own ego under control. I've talked about this in previous points in this video, but it's important for you not to compare yourself too heavily to other successful people and to not be too hard on yourself or to expect too much of yourself. Being an entrepreneur is a humbling process in that you learn a lot about yourself and about being an entrepreneur, about the world of entrepreneurship. So accept that, embrace it, roll with the punches and keep going. You'll grow a lot, both in terms of your own success and in terms of your personality. And generally, in terms of any discouragement or ridicule that you receive, absorb it, wait for the bad feeling that it gives you to die away, and then go again. People out there will try to discredit you or laugh at you for what you do, but again, I would keep your mind off of those people wherever possible, or possibly look at cutting them out of your life physically as well if it's not possible to avoid them. I don't know obviously what the situation is, but their views don't define you. What you want your life to look like is what defines you. If other people can't deal with that, that's their problem. And a bonus one, since I like providing bonuses. I'm losing interest in my day job. Now this is a weird one, and that's the reason I left it till last. But it can happen that the more you put into your entrepreneurship, the more that you start to resent your day job and see it as boring or as proof that you're not where you want to be. If that's you, then I would recommend that you reframe your job. What I mean is, change the way that you look at it, reframe the way that you look at it. Don't see it as proof that you're a failure or that you're not where you need to be and that your life will always be this way. See your day job as a necessary foundation for what you're doing on the side with your side income. Your day job pays the bills so that you've got the time and the ability to focus on your entrepreneurship on the side. So try seeing the job that way, in a more positive light. Also remember that day jobs teach you life skills. Even if you hate the job that you're in or don't like it, that factor alone will make you more resilient and possibly more mature, which are good qualities to have when you're working on a side business. Other than that, jobs do entail life skills such as maybe using the telephone, learning how to communicate via email and so on. Just learning how to adopt a professional approach to your work, which you can then transfer to your side business. Ultimately, you don't have to be in this day job forever. If you really don't like it, there's always the possibility to change into a different job where you have more satisfaction. Also, there might be an option in future to reduce your hours further so that you don't have to work as many hours in your day job and can devote even more time to doing what you love. And if you do decide that you want to be a particularly successful entrepreneur and do this full time, then you can. At some point you can get out of your day job or slowly wean yourself off it and build your side business up in its place. So in summary, there is always a way forward. Even if events will occur on your journey that will rock you, first recover from these events and then put your next best foot forward, even if it's just a small step, so that you keep moving that needle. If you keep doing that and keep moving that needle of progress and growth, then you can't fail. So congratulations, you've reached the end of the introductory module to This Is My Name. Well done. I really hope that the videos have been useful to you and that they've got you fired up for getting started on your own journey. Make sure you've taken notes from the last video on what particularly stood out for you. What setbacks that I mentioned particularly resonated with you, and what steps will you take out of the ones that I mentioned to ensure that you overcome these setbacks? Maybe there are 1 or 2 steps or even 1 or 2 setbacks that I didn't mention that you think could apply to you, in which case, let me know. But make sure that you've taken notes, because this will be crucial for later. Other than that, I look forward to seeing you on Module 2 of This Is My Name. I look forward to welcoming you onto the niche portion of the course, where we will define your niche. This cuts away the competition, cuts away the uninterested people, and gets you right through to those people who will love what you do and will support you. So, go and sign up for Module 2 of your This Is My Name course, where we will define your niche. See you soon.